From deep in the heart of Central Texas, it's the Best of the Outdoors podcast, brought to you by Texas Fish and Game Magazine, the voice of the Texas outdoor nation. I'm your humble host, Dustin Von Warnke, author, outdoor writer, videographer, speaker, blogger, and podcaster, and I'm so excited that you've taken the opportunity to download our show, whether you are streaming it online or however you are listening. Thank you so much for doing so. Back again this week with another show. I'm excited to be joining you again, and I'm excited that you joined us, and really excited about the opportunity to share this podcast with our listeners, and whether that be inside Texas or outside Texas, we have a lot of good content here, and I really appreciate you tuning in today. So my guest today is one that I've kind of kept a mystery from the show the last couple of episodes, because I did the NRA episode and then a couple of other shows prior to this, and the guy that I've got here I've known for about 11 years now. His name is Cody Weiser, and he runs a company called W Gear, and it's a new line of shooting and hunting gear that is just perfect for the outdoorsman. I mean, I absolutely love this guy. I've known him for a while. He makes really high quality stuff. I've shot with some of his gear before. I've used his gear, and really wanted to have him on the show to talk about hunting, and especially hog and deer hunting and strategies for that, and then also kind of shooting gear 101 and kind of the things that he has to offer from W Gear line. Before I get too far into this episode, I want to mention our sponsor for this episode, and that is Texas Hunter Products, and they can be found at their website, which is texashunterproducts.com. They make a wide variety of different things. If you've been on fishgame.com on our website, you probably have seen their banner once in a while run. We've got a banner running through the end of May. And basically, they make an awesome fish feeder that they've just come out with. It is awesome. It is really cool. They make protein feeders, deer feeders, hideaway feeders, chairs and stools, road feeders, hunting blinds, and shooting bags and other shooting accessories. But I really love these guys. I really love what they're up to. I know Chris Blood over there, and he's a great guy, and just have a lot of fun. Really cool stuff, and I just really love what this company's up to. So check out Texas Hunter Products at texashunterproducts.com, and give them a shout. Let them know that you heard about them on the show, and that would be a lot of fun. So back to the content of our show, and I'm really excited about my guest, Cody Weiser, today, and I want to apologize in advance because the audio quality on this particular call is not the best. I had a piece of audio equipment that I use to record my phone calls, because most all of the calls that we record on the show, I basically don't use Skype or anything like that. I use a hardwired connection to my system here at my home studio, and I basically plug in a 3.5 millimeter plug into the phone, my cell phone, my iPhone, and record phone calls that way. Well, that piece of equipment, or piece of something else I could say, gave up on me the night I was trying to record this call with Cody. So I used a program that is getting ready to be obsolete now. It's a call taping program that I use to record the call. And it is okay. You can still hear us just fine. There's just a little bit of metered static, I guess is the best way to explain it, on our call. But you can still hear both of our voices fine, understand what we're saying just fine. So I went ahead and ran with it this week. And I've got that new piece of hardware in my studio now again. And so we will have better luck next time on the future calls. Next episode, I'm going to have Chester Moore from Texas Fish and Game, our editor-in-chief, on the show to talk about some wildlife biology stuff, and I will have this new piece of equipment installed and ready to go, and it won't get trampled on like the last one was. It was kind of stepped on and rolled over with my office chair and that kind of stuff. So anyway, but here's my interview with Cody Weiser. I really think you'll enjoy it, and here we go. Joining me on the phone is Cody Weiser from W Gear. And Cody does a lot of stuff in the outdoors. I'm really excited to have him on tonight. Cody, how are you doing tonight?
Pretty good, Dustin. How are you?
Oh, better than I deserve. I can't complain. I'm having a great night. And a lot of fun going on there. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into hunting and shooting and the outdoor sports, Cody.
Well, I mean, I was born and raised in the hunting environment. You know, my grandfather and mom and dad both big hunters, and that was kind of the family pastime. So grew up, you know, sitting in deer stands when I was when I was little, and that was kind of our family, what we did on the weekends, hunting, fishing, and more hunting than we did fishing, but that's the way I was brought up. So I fell in love with that sport as a kid, and it just took off from there, and I've been doing it ever since.
That's awesome. Did you grow up around Texas for the most part, Cody?
I did, yeah. I've been in Texas my whole life.
What part of Texas, can I ask?
Yeah, I grew up in Lavaca County, Hallettsville, Shiner area. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's where I first met you, was the Hallettsville area. You used to put on the Wild Boar Expo, which is something that we started back in, 2006, 2007, something like that?
I think so. I think 2006 was the first year we did it.
Tell me a little bit about what that was and how that worked, because that was something really innovative at the time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we kind of, I owned Wild Boar USA, which was at the time was a hog hunting magazine, and we manufactured a bunch of gear that was protective gear for people that hunted with dogs.
Right.
And we started the Wild Boar Expo just to, hog hunting was kind of a sport that wasn't looked upon too kindly. I think it's expanded. I think the hunt still goes on, but they don't do the expo anymore.
Can you believe that we've known each other for over 10 years?
I know. It's been a long time, hasn't it?
It really has. The time flies when you're having fun. And you're getting kids involved in hunting. How old are your kids? You've got quite a few kids, right?
Yeah, I've got 5 kids. The youngest is 9 and the oldest is 18. And they all enjoy hunting. Some do it more into it than others. I've got one of my boys is like he's addicted to bass fishing, so he's teaching me stuff at this point. But
right.
All the kids like to get out there and get to the woods and whenever they can.
That's wonderful. And one of the things that I've seen in some of your YouTube videos, and I'll plug your YouTube channel on our show notes today, basically one of the things that you're into, that you get your kids into, is specialty pistols. Will you tell us some more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've like I said, I grew up hunting, and this is actually my 18th year in law enforcement. I've been a Texas peace officer now for 18 years.
Wow. Thank you for your service, by the way.
No, I appreciate it. And through that, I've been, I always liked guns, always liked shooting, but through law enforcement, I was fortunate enough to be part of a SWAT team for a few years, and so got into tactical shooting in 308s, and that really just, they kind of work hand in hand.
Right.
The more training I got to do, the better I became behind a gun, and that just improved the hunting and shooting ability in the field. And I don't know, I kind of wanted to challenge. Some people always say people go to bow hunting because they're sick and tired of shooting a gun and they want a little more of a challenge. And I tried a bow, and it just didn't feel the same for me. I like the smell of gunpowder. I like pulling the trigger, and I was searching the internet one day and found out about specialty pistols, which are basically bolt-action rifle caliber handguns. And from the first time I, saw them online, I was addicted and started my first build and started messing with those. And I haven't shot a rifle as far as at a game animal, and I think 3 years now I've been hunting 100% with specialty pistols and really enjoying it.
Wow, that's great. And one of the guns that I was really interested in that you have posted on your Facebook, Instagram, and wherever you are on social media, that said somebody told you something could never be done, and that was a 4570 government, correct?
Right. Yeah, based on a Remington bolt action.
A Remington 700, right?
He actually built it on an XP 100, which
XP
is the old
100,
Remington
that's right.
600,
okay.
The old Remington 600 action. Mm-hmm.
I see. Okay. Very good. And you built that gun because they told you it couldn't be done, right?
Right. I mean, I'm not a gunsmith, but I have crazy ideas, and I've through the years met people that gunsmiths that have somehow been able to make some of these crazy ideas come to fruition. So
that's great.
I'm not taking any credit for making it work. I just had the idea and found somebody that could make it work for me, and they did.
That's great. So these specialty pistols are basically, if you will, cut down versions of popular rifle calibers, and very accurate, aren't they?
Yeah, they're really accurate. I mean, they shoot right along with the guns that I used, in law enforcement. I mean, half-minute angle guns, half-inch groups at 100 yards. I'm not a big group shooter, but to prove the gun, that's, what you do. And now the 45-70, I'm still working on load development. Right now I've got it about an inch, 3/4 of an inch, which I'm not sure with that big, heavy, slow bullet how it's going to do, but all my 308 specialty pistols, they'll shoot half minute or less, at 100. So
that's great.
Definitely makes it nice when you're out hunting to know that that bullet's going to go exactly where you want it to.
So you're shooting sub MOA at 100 yards. That's great. I mean, that's incredible.
Right. And all the specialty pistols I like 13-inch barrels. Easy to maneuver, easy to get around, and a lot of people think, oh, well, you can't shoot, past 75 or 100 yards with that. I haven't taken game. I think the longest deer shot I've taken with one is a little over 200 yards. But we shoot steel all the time, and we go out to, with a 13-inch barrel 308, go out to 500 yards and, hit 12-inch steel every shot. So
wow,
it's definitely accurate, and you can do a lot further distances than what most people would think.
A common specialty pistol that's made, instead of customizing one, is a Thompson Encore or Thompson Contender, is the older version of that, correct?
Correct, uh-huh.
And my dad owns one, and he has it in 30-30, 30 carbine. He has it in 223, and he's got it in a couple of other calibers, 45 ACP and a couple of other calibers. And I've enjoyed shooting that gun because the recoil is not as bad as you would think of a rifle bullet coming out of rifle caliber, I should say, coming out of a short gun like that. The recoil is pretty negligible, isn't it? I mean, not negligible, but it's not as bad as you would think. Would that be correct?
Yeah. The recoil is not bad at all. The guns that I run, I put muzzle brakes on.
Right.
Definitely, you wouldn't want to shoot them without hearing protection. Not
sure.
with any gun, but no recoil. I mean, my 11-year-old son shoots the 308 all the time. We have a little range set up at the family farm. 375 yards as far as we can get back, and he can hit the steel target every shot. Doesn't recoil at all. We even run rifle scopes on ours, so you're not getting any recoil, so you don't get hit with the scope.
Right, but scope eye, as they call it, right?
Right.
Something that you love to do is hog hunting. Is that correct?
I do. I've been hog hunting for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, I've been at it for about 11 years now, and there are a lot of great groups out there, like the Texas Hog Hunting Association. They have a Facebook group that I'm a part of, and plan to join their group pretty soon. And I just, hogs are definitely a problem in Texas, but they certainly create a challenging hunting environment. And that's one thing I wanted to bring up on this show is some of the stuff that you're able to pull off with hog hunting with specialty pistols and deer hunting and so on and so forth. Is you're giving yourself kind of a challenge, but you're not, giving yourself such a challenge that it's not doable. You know what I'm saying? Like making a bow hunting yard shot, 100-yard bow hunting shot, with a piece of archery equipment like a bow or a crossbow. It's definitely doable still, but it's still a challenge. Would you say that?
That's exactly what I feel. It's something a little different, kind of a little oddity factor with it. There's different techniques used to shoot the handguns at that distance with the way the gun's set up and the rest and whatnot. But yeah, it makes me feel like it's a little different challenge and something a little more than the rifle that I've hunted with, for years, and just kind of makes me feel like I'm doing something a little different, but still being able to pull the trigger and smell the gunpowder.
Right, which is very important for us guns.
Very important, right?
Get that gunpowder smell in the morning. Yeah, that's really good. Give us a few tips for hog hunting. I haven't talked a ton about hog hunting on this show, and I kind of like to see how you do it and how you recommend our listeners approach it.
I've always been a big fan of a feeder, a spin type feeder. I mean, hunting here in Texas, that's pretty standard.
Right.
One thing that we've done is incorporated what we call cornholes. Digging a post hole a few feet from where the feeder sprays, and putting about 50 pounds of corn down in that hole. And we found that it keeps the hogs out longer.
Right.
If you've got a big group of hogs and the feeder goes off, even if you have it running for 15 or 20 seconds, they'll vacuum up all the corn and be gone, in a couple minutes. With the cornhole, the hogs kind of fight over the position, who's going to get to dig in the hole, who's going to get to eat, and keeps the hogs out there longer and lets the more dominant boars and sows, the bigger hogs, come out. They usually come out and get precedence over who's in the hole, first. And that's allow us to take bigger boars, bigger sows. Even a lot of times the hogs, when they're down in the holes, because they get pretty big pretty quick. A post hole turn into the size of a bathtub in a few weeks if you keep it filled up. But we've been able to kill multiple hogs, from the same spot, just because they're down in there. When the gun goes off, they don't know where it came from, and it kind of startles them. And a lot of times you'll get a follow up shot, which isn't usually the case when they're just eating under the feeder. Right.
No, that's great. And I've never really tried the post hole technique before, but even if you don't have a post hole digger, you can certainly dig out a pretty narrow hole with the spade shovel or something like that, couldn't you? Right?
Sure. Just a shovel a lot of times is, all you have to get down and, a foot or so, and it'll hold a bag of corn and then throw a little dirt on top, and that'll last for a while.
So the one thing about wild hog hunting is that you have the opportunity to, I took a friend of mine who's been on the podcast before, Michael Foster, hog hunting for his first time in December, and we had a blast doing it, but he said, man, they move all the time. He said, I can't get a solid shot because they keep moving. And I said, that, my friend, is called the challenge of hog hunting. So,
right.
That's what I really think is interesting, about the sport is they're constantly jockeying for position, aren't they, in front of that feeder, in front of that corn, right?
Oh yeah, it's almost a moving target. I mean, you've got to time it just right, or you may make a bad shot, or may not hit the target
pull the shot or whatever. Exactly right. So I mean, that's definitely picking the hog that you want and making a solid shot on it would be a good strategy. Would that be correct?
No, definitely. And it's good training. I mean, it's hog hunting. I like using for the kids, for myself. It's good real life scenario hunting training.
Right.
Everybody thinks about that big buck they're going to shoot and practices for that, once a year if they're lucky opportunity. But hog hunting, you can go out, every weekend and with a good feeder set up that's been established and get some live fire practice on something, something out there that tells you what your bullet doing, telling what you're doing behind the gun and behind the scope, and get you ready for the real thing.
And since wild hogs are so tough, in a lot of ways compared to the way a deer is built, I also think there's an opportunity there to definitely, test your rounds, test your bullets, making sure that they're penetrating correctly, making sure they're expanding correctly, and so on and so forth. Would you agree with that?
Oh, that's exactly what I do. It's the same thing. I mean, I've had to do that with the specialty pistol, loading rifle bullets and rifle rounds. They don't react or act the same coming out of a 13-inch barrel as they do a 20 or 22-inch barrel. And so I've had to, try different bullets that I like. I do hand loading, so try different things. And a decent-sized hog is a very good litmus test for what a bullet's going to do.
Litmus test. I love it. That's great. That's about right, though. You have a couple of videos on your YouTube channel of specialty pistols, and also I've made a video for you of your W gear. Do you want to talk more about your W gear line?
Sure. I mean, like I said, years ago, we manufactured gear for dogs, protective gear. We use only the best material, 1000 denier Cadre, everything's double, triple stitched. And so with getting into shooting and then, my years in law enforcement, I've wanted to come up with some rest bags, front and rear rest bags for not just specialty pistols, but for rifles and tactical rifles and things like that. So we just kind of carried that into what W gear is. And we have a few different products that we make, like I said, for the specialty pistols, but then stuff too for the basic hunter. We have a what we call a rifle pillow that straps on the front of your rifle forearm, the fore end, so when you put it out your deer stand window, you're not bumping around and scaring the deer off. It makes a nice, solid but soft rest that's quiet. We have a few rest bags and things like that we're doing well with, and just trying to get out there to people that like to enjoy shooting or hunting.
The nice thing I like about your gear, though, is that it's also made, you know, in America. It's made in Texas. Is that right?
Yeah, everything that we make 100% made in the USA.
And I don't know about our listeners, but I love to support Texas companies. I've actually had a chance to handle some of your W gear. You sent me I believe you sent me an ammo bracelet before, and you sent me a rifle pillow before. And the stitching and the quality of the product is really there. I mean, the attention to detail that you show in those products is just absolutely amazing. I mean, my hat's off to you for the time that it takes to develop a product like that, to make sure it's not too large, it's not too small, it fits the gun well, you know, so on and so forth. I mean, that's really important.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, we've spent a lot of time, and like I said, my time hunting and then mixing that with the law enforcement training and time, we've kind of combined the two to try to bring bring a product out that's kind of got the best of both worlds.
So you have the ammo bracelet. Tell me something about that too, because that's a neat product that I can't believe I hadn't thought of something like that before in my past. You know, with all the hunting and shooting and ammo handling that I do.
Right, just something real simple. You know, something. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are into. I actually came up with it when I shooting New England. Handy rifles, you know, single shot breakover handy rifles. All my kids, that was their first gun. I built each one of them a single shot breakover, and I felt that's the best way to teach a kid that one shot counts and they only have one shot, and it's a very safe, very well built rifle. They don't make them anymore, but they're, you know, a lot of people started out with that very gun, and it's just an ammo solution. To, you know, kids put it around. They can put it around their thigh or their wrist. Strap it on their gear bag, or even around the fore end of the rifle or the buttstock, and we make a model that holds 5 rounds or a model that holds 2, just to give you some extra ammo right there, readily available. You know, our specialty pistol guys like a lot of those shoot the XP100s, which are single shots. Like you said, the Thompson contenders are all single shots, so we have a lot of customers that shoot, you know, single shot rifles or double rifles, you know, that a few extra rounds easily available.
I just think shooting gear like that is practical and tactical in a way, because it keeps ammunition, for instance, with the ammo bracelet right at your disposal, and without it being clunky or awkward or anything like that when it comes to, you know, accessing ammunition quickly, because a lot of times you may need it quickly, you know.
Right.
You've been hunting in Texas long, that's for sure.
Right. That's true. And it's not rattling around. I mean, the ammo bracelet holds it tight up against, up against the band itself, so it's not rattling around making noise, and it's right there, you know, when you need to grab it.
I just picked up my 6th Mosin Nagant rifle. It's actually a Finn model 1939 M39 rifle, and I was carrying ammunition for a while on stripper clips, because the old World War II bolt actions like these have stripper clips that will hold 5 rounds. But then you'd have to find a place to put a stripper clip. You got to put it in your pocket. You got to put it, in your coat pocket or your pants pocket or whatever. And then you've got to fumble for it and access it and pull out that round and load it. But the ammo bracelet just keeps everything right there on your wrist or the butt of your rifle or wherever. And I really think it's a neat product.
I appreciate it. We have a lot of people that like this.
Yeah, for sure. That's really good. And also, I was going to ask you about your rear bag and your mega bag. Tell us something about that. I know you already talked about bags just now, but tell us some more about those concepts.
Sure, yeah. The rear bag is that's coming from tactical rifles, from, you know, bolt action 308s. All the training I've done, everybody uses a rear bag to get their elevation adjustment, you know, fine tuned with when they're shooting long guns. And then when I started shooting specialty pistols, it was an easy transition to using that. The same thing under the pistol grip to get your minute elevation adjustments. And so we just wanted to make a bag that would kind of double as both. And then basically the mega bag, you know, we wanted something for a solid front rest. We came up with those. It's very large, you know, it's over 10 pounds. But it really works good on the range. On shooting benches, we have some indoor gun ranges that use them, for their customers to just get a really good solid rest. They're really good for you, like if you're going to sight in a rifle or do some adjustments. If you're not shooting off of like a bipod, you don't have to stack sandbags or backpacks or things to get a really good solid rest. The mega bag serves that purpose and keeps your rifle, dead still when you're wanting to fine tune your scope or your sights.
That makes a lot of sense. And the other thing I was going to mention is it's a great range tool to have for sighting in guns or having a good steady rest, but it also works well in the field, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've used one in my stands. I like the big front rest. We also keep one on the four-wheeler because we can throw it across the handlebars or across the back rack and lean your rifle up against it. We hunt out in West Texas every year, and out there you're on your quad and you're glassing and moving around, and you may see something 300 or 400 or 500 yards away, and it's hard to get a good steady position shooting a rest from the four-wheeler. But with a mega bag, you can throw on any one of your racks or, like I said, your handlebars, and you've got a solid rest to shoot from. And makes it, just that solid rest makes a difference, especially when you're getting out there 200, 300, 400 yards.
It does.
That rest makes a difference.
The one thing that I mention to a lot of new shooters is if your gun is not steady and is not solid at 100 yards, your mistake doubles and triples and quadruples at 200, 300, and 400 yards.
Right, exactly.
So that's the thing about longer distances. Once you get to those longer distances, a precision counts, big time. It does matter. And you don't want to make an offhand shot at that kind of distance if you've got a good opportunity at a trophy animal, for instance, or whatever the case may be. So also I wanted to run past you the Guardian and Guardian Junior, which are specialty pistol bags or cases, soft cases. Would that be correct in explaining what those are?
Yeah, I mean we use them kind of as a solution for carrying the specialty pistols. I mean, the specialty pistol's a niche market, but it's growing by leaps and bounds. A lot of people I guess kind of feel the same way I do. They want something a little different than a rifle.
Right.
But they're just not archery guys, and they're gun nuts, and so specialty pistol, a lot of people are getting into it, whether it's the factory available options or if it's custom builds, but there's not much available as far as hunting. I mean, I'm not a big range guy or competitive shooter, but I'm a hunter, and for carrying these pistols around on a hunt, it just wasn't an easy way to do it. So we came up with the Guardian, which is basically a backpack type carry rig. It has adjustable shoulder straps. They can be moved on the rig to either carry it in a backpack style or a cross carry style. It even has carry handles, where you can carry it, down by your side, to and from the range or your quad or your vehicle or whatnot. The Guardian itself is for the larger specialty pistols like the XPs and the Strikers from Savage, and then the Guardian Junior fits some of the smaller versions of the specialty pistol and even the big X-frame revolvers, which a lot of those classify as specialty pistols themselves. A lot of people are shooting, bipods and front rest on those big revolvers. So,
right.
That the Guardian Junior fits those big X-frame revolvers perfectly.
Because before you came out with this, I mean, I did not know. My dad he has a Thompson Contenders I mentioned earlier in the show, and he really has, the one thing that I was kind of hung up with him on is there's nothing out there that really fits this pistol well. He keeps it in a old, range bag style thing that he keeps all of his barrels wrapped up in and everything like that. This product absolutely blew my mind, that you came out with something that would fit a large revolver or a Contender or Encore or single shot specialty pistol like that. The material on the inside is real soft, the outside's durable. I mean, it's something that really lasts you a lifetime to take good care of it, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. They'll last forever, and all W gear, everything we make comes with a lifetime warranty. If we can't fix it, you get a new one. So that's something you don't have to worry about. You buy one, and it's going to be the one you're gonna have for the remainder. Like I said, we just wanted the solution to get out and hunt with these guns. I mean, it's not a big deal just driving to the range and carrying your specialty pistol, your big revolver, to and from the shooting lane. But when you're out hiking all day and covering miles and miles, you got a lot of gear to start with, and those pistols are big and heavy, and it's not like a rifle you can just throw across your back. You got to actually have a solution to carry it. So that's why we came out with
right.
it, and it's really worked good for us.
And a lifetime guarantee on grassroots style company's product is really speaks volumes to the quality. You know, I just wanted to say that. I've never really told you that before. But, you know, I really want to say that hats off to you on a lifetime guarantee on all your W gear. I mean, that's incredible.
No, I appreciate it. I've loved building stuff and making things, and I've always been told that I make things twice as heavy and thick and solid. And, you know, if you're supposed to use a 2x4, I'll use a 2x10. That's the kind of mentality I have, and we kind of carry that into the W gear. It's definitely going to last. We make it to last. So,
right.
You know, I'm going to tear it up. It can be torn up, so I try to make it to where I can't even tear it up, and I know I got something good.
So to switch gears really quickly with you, tell us your top, you know, ideas and concepts and strategies as far as deer hunting go in Texas, because we're in the off season right now, but it's right around the corner. Everybody's thinking about it as a hunter, especially a big game hunter. You know, do you do a lot of feeder hunting? Do you do spot and stalk? What kind of things do you do?
You know, I do. I mean, we hunt here around home. We've got a family place that we hunt, and basically when I'm out there, I say we hunt. My boys hunt, and I'm a guide. I usually guide around here.
Oh, right.
But I've got a place that we've got a 10,000 acre lease out in Terrell County, you know, super West Texas, and we hunt mule deer and whitetail and javelina out there. And we do, you know, we feed Protien year round. I mean, that's a big deal. We've noticed a lot more deer, you know, a lot better deer. I mean, the whole keeping the Protien available to them 365 days a year works. As far as the health of the deer and the size of the antlers, so we keep that going. But I like spot and stalk. But I, you know, for my law enforcement training and stuff, I like to kind of sit and hide and watch. You know, I kind of find a good perch and a good place to sit, and I'm the kind of guy that'll be there an hour before daylight and leave after shooting light.
An all day thing, huh?
Yeah, I like to just sit and watch and see what comes, and when you do that, you'd be amazed at what moves between, you know, 11 a.m. and 3 p.m.
Right.
You know, if you get a nice cool day, there's plenty of movement and plenty of game movement during the middle of the day. And most people are back at the camp house.
Right, watching the football game or whatever. Right.
Right. I don't get a lot of free days that I'm not guiding with the kids. So when I do get a time, I'm gonna make the best of it. I usually stay out all day. That's kind of my style.
No, that's great. And the other thing I was going to mention is on your deer hunting, you know, a lot of times during the rut, you know, they don't always come to corn, and they don't always, you know, come where you want them to come too. They don't always, you know, go where you want them to go. They always are on the move. They're always on the prowl, and that's an opportune time to hunt is in the middle of the day. Would you agree?
Right. No, I've seen a lot of game and made some, you know, taken some decent deer in the middle of the day. You know, I feel like you keep the setup. You know, a lot of people will say, well, you're feeding, you know what bucks are coming. Well, I feed the does.
Right.
If I've got bucks coming, that's fine. They can eat some Protien and maybe increase some antler size by a few inches. If that all works out, that's fine and dandy. But I like when I have, you know, a bunch of does that are daily at the feeders daily, because I know they're going to be healthy. I know their fawns are going to be healthy, which, you know, that
sure.
ensures your future. You know, your future herds down the line, but it also brings in bucks. I mean, I've killed plenty bucks that I've never seen on game camera before. Never had a picture at the feeder, but I've got plenty of does there, and they live around that feed and they stay there. And when the rut turns on, that's the number one attraction, is to have that doe, you know, they're close by and coming through your feeder every day, because those bucks that are coming from ways off that aren't from that area, they're gonna follow those does, and that's always worked for me, and what I continue to try to practice.
That's a great, and that's also a selective way. I mean, a lot of people give Texans a lot of grief because we hunt over feeders, and there are a lot of states, especially in the western states, where, you know, baiting's illegal. A lot of the eastern states, baiting's illegal, and those kind of things. But, you know, you get to, the way I've explained it to a lot of hunters on my YouTube videos is that, you know, you have a selective viewpoint at that point, hunting over a feeder and really seeing what the herd looks like. Now, that's not always the case when it comes to your trophy bucks that don't always come into corn, especially not during the daytime. They'll come in during the night while everything else is gone and eat whatever the hogs haven't eaten, you know. But
right, exactly.
you know, the neat thing about feeder hunting is you really take a selective, you know, approach to your deer management and counting your does and seeing how your herd looks like, you know, what your herd looks like, and so on and so forth. Would you agree with that?
No, definitely. I get way more excited when I check game cameras. I get way more excited about all the does that are at the feed and how healthy they're looking compared to what bucks. Because, like I said, when that rut turns on, those does are what's gonna bring the big boy in. So when I see does, that's what I'm looking for.
Right.
I'm not feeding the buck. But usually the bucks that I shoot or that I'm after don't care anything about that corn. They care about the doe that's been living there, you know, the whole year.
Right. And then eating the protein. And I personally think it's a very smart thing. I've heard a lot of radio show hosts that I listen to say, you know, feed corn year round, but feeding protein is so important, you know, for good herd management and for the health of that deer, and especially for antler growth, right?
Right, definitely.
And so I really think that the case for feeding protein, even though it's not cheap, you know, feeding that year round is going to, especially if you have a quote unquote lease or a family property or property that you use private property, because about 97% of Texas is private property. But having a herd that you actually feed, you know, running protein year round is not a bad idea at all. I mean,
I agree, and I think that, you know, and it affects so much other aspects of Texas wildlife. I mean,
right.
And I've got game camera pictures of. I didn't realize this till I started feeding protein. How that foxes like protein. I've got
sure.
I think 4 foxes in one picture eating protein that the deer dumps out of the feeder. You know, you've got, of course, things like coons and squirrels but they're wildlife too, and they benefit from it, and plenty of different birds, you know, that benefit from having the feed out. But you know, definitely it affects the whole area, you know, in a positive way, having that nutrition food source there.
Right. And what percentage of protein do you feed? I'm just curious.
We usually feed 20.
Okay.
I'm a big believer in 20%. Now we keep the protein year round, and we do have a corn feeder in the same feed pen.
Right.
That we keep going as well. But yeah, we keep 20% protein, and then, you know, this time of year when they're in velvet, we mix in some roasted soybean as well. And that bumps up the protein just a little bit, but you know, we usually mix it in where we get about 24 to 26% protein in the you know, overall mix.
And do you mix it with corn, or do you typically mix yours, or just have it you know, one of those stand-still protein feeders, or what do you have exactly?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up welding as a kid in high school and college to pay my way through school. So we just got some big homemade. Our feeders hold 1,100 pounds, and we mixed the protein pellet in with the soybean. That kind of helps it flow good, and it's just a self feeder. You know, the deer come and eat as they wish. We put some feed pins around it to keep out feral hogs and keep out cattle. You know, if we have cattle on the place, but. Yeah, just let them eat when they want.
No, that's smart, having it at their own discretion when they kind of eat. What do you call those feeders? I forget. Free range feeder.
Yeah, just a big free choice feeder, right? And you can
free
tell.
Choice,
I mean,
that's right. Free choice.
When it's rain, you know, when it's a good rainy season and there's plenty for them to eat, they won't eat as much protein. But when it's dry, like it's been now, they'll eat plenty of it. I mean, it just keeps their nutrition level, keeps their health and their weight, you know, kind of consistent, no matter what you know, the weather's doing. Okay,
no, that's good. That's good. I was just curious what your thoughts were on that. And back to hunting, you know, aside from wildlife management and feeding schedule and that kind of stuff, I think it's very important to talk about. But your favorite calibers for deer and hog hunting?
Well, I grew up on I mean, 45-70 was one of the first rifles I had. You know, back home though was brush hunting, so you very rarely got a shot over 100 yards.
Right.
But through my law enforcement training, I mean, all we did was 308, and you know, I figured if that was good enough to protect people with against other bad people, then it should work for deer. And you know, there's a lot of good bullets out there in 30 caliber, and and that's all I hunt with. I told all my boys as they have gotten older, they can have any gun they want as long as it's a 308, and that's what we have. So everybody in my household shoots a 308. Yep.
Wow, that's
great. What we do all our killing with, a couple of 45-70s and a bunch of 308s.
Okay, so 308. That's a solid caliber. I started out, my first deer kill was with the 308, and I load, I don't know about you, but I load Sierra 165 grain Game King bullets in mine, but I'm experimenting with some other loads. Do you have any pet loads or anything like that you'd like to share?
Out of the specialty pistol, I really like the 178 grain, the Hornady AMAX, which they stopped making this last year, which kind of broke my heart, but I was able to get a bunch to last me about 300 years. So I think I'll be good on AMAX for a while. But I really like that load. I like the Barnes 168X bullet out of the longer barrel, out of a rifle. I had real good luck with that. So those two bullets are kind of what I hunt with and what I've hunted with. I had really good success with.
Oh, that's very good. Like I said, Sierra Game Kings have worked well for me, but in the I have 5 Mosley Nagans that I talk about. I hunt with 2 of them, and that bullet, the 7.62 by 54 rimmed, is a bullet that falls ballistically in between a 308 and a 30-06. It's just a Russian round that not a lot of folks in the States use for hunting, but I do, and I use a 203 grain brown bear or silver bear soft point.
Okay.
And you talk about a mean bullet.
Yeah,
it gets the job. You would think it would really not be as accurate, being as heavy as that is for a 308 or 311. Actually, is the diameter of the Mosin loading. But I mean, holy smokes! I mean, it doesn't walk far. I'll tell you that much. After it gets hit by one of those,
I wouldn't think it would.
Tell the folks how to find you, how to get in touch with you, where you are on social media. And I just want to get a good plug-in for you.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I guess the best way is just go to the website. It's just my name. It's CodyWeiser.com. It's CodyWeiser.com. And all our links are there for Facebook and email and Instagram and our YouTube channel. So that's kind of our hub. You can go there, and all our contact information is there as well. So give me a call, shoot me an email, or check out the website.
Yeah, your phone number is on the website, so I invite people to give this guy a call. So
sure.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And I really enjoyed having you on the show. I've really got to say, out of all the guys I've met, I've not met anybody quite as diverse as you when it comes to the different things you're involved in.
Oh, I appreciate it. Plenty of irons in the fire, I guess, is one way to say it.
Yeah, that's what I say, too. Certainly, if you look at all the scope of what I've got going on and the spectrum of everything I've got going on, you say the same thing. So,
right.
But thanks so much for joining me tonight, man. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And there he goes, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cody Weiser from CodyWeiser.com. His website, again, is CodyWeiser.com. It's CodyWeiser.com. And it's got a really great website going on there, and really great products. And he just added a new product since we did this phone call together called the Cylinder Rear Bag. And it's kind of like a cylindrical rear bag for shooting. You can use it as a front rest or a rear rest, but it's basically designed to be a rear bag to go along with the rear bag, normal square rear bag, and then the mega bag. So great rear rest and just great steady shooting rest, and that's so important when you're shooting, especially pistols and those kind of things that we talked about on the show today. But really important when it comes to proper shooting form is having a good steady rest. And I never depend on the shooting bags that they have at the gun range. Man, the gun range I shoot at is a really nice gun range, but I mean they have like wooden blocks, like 4x4s. That you can shoot off of, and they're not the most steady or certainly not the most comfortable rest you can use. I use a rest that I typically use when I'm not using one of Cody's rests called Hyskore, Hyskore. They make a complete shooting system and everything like that. I'm a really big fan of what they've got. They've got a rapid fire rest that I use for a real steady system rest, but Cody Weiser has just got a great line of shooting products, especially for taking with you on the field, not just going to the range or wherever you shoot. And I'm just a really big fan of what these guys are up to. So anyway, check that out. Also, if you've not done so, please subscribe to our newsletters. They come out 3 times a week. We have Tactical Tuesday, we have Wildlife Wednesday, and we have, of course, the State of the Texas Outdoor Nation Thursday newsletter. And you can register for those at fishgame.com. By the time I have the new show out next week or 2 weeks from now, I should also have the new website up and running, and Elliot Donnelly, our digital publisher, is working on that right now. And so we should have the new website up that'll have all kinds of new content and subscription-based things. If you want to dive deeper into Texas Fish and Game, you can get a subscription to our digital site. And but there'll be some free stuff on there as well, especially this podcast, because this will always be free for you. And just really appreciate your time and taking the time to listen. And thank you so much for checking us out. If you want to learn more about the Best of the Outdoors, we have all of our shows that we've ever done at thebestoftheoutdoors.podbean.com. You can go check all those shows out. Had a really great comment from a listener the other day on the podcast that I did about the top 10 things to look for in your next guide or outfitter, and that really just made my day. It made me smile. So I love when I get feedback like that. If you've not left me a comment on the Best of the Outdoors podcast as far as a review goes, please do so at iTunes. That's kind of where most of the folks find this show. iTunes is kind of the big podcasting mecca of podcast land. And if you wouldn't mind, please leave me a 5-star rating. That'll help more people find this show. And really appreciate you taking the time to listen, and have an awesome day in the outdoors.